Hey everyone, it's Kimberly Mosby, your host for the Radical Truth Summit. And today we're honored to be joined by Gaji Justice. Gaji Justice, unacknowledged yet diagnosed Havana syndrome survivor, influencer, moderator, author, event organizer, grassroots mobilizer, a voice in the TI community. Gaji Justice created Gaji's After Dinner Jam, the Justice Action meeting, shortly after being introduced to the targeted individual TI community. Realizing that her new challenges were shared by so many good and innocent people, she decided to mobilize the group towards freedom. With a background in creative arts and various college degrees under her belt, this retired assistant superintendent of schools began to do her part to make things happen. Like calling herself just nobody trying to tell anybody about somebody's trying to harm everybody, Gaji has spearheaded this weekly conference call focusing on TI story unfolding throughout the nation, in the media, and the TI call to action. To this end, with the help of several dedicated jamsters, Gaji has initiated petitions, letter writing, and phone calling campaigns, planned caravans, co-moderated radio shows, coordinating evidence gathering events, spoke on various platforms and at rallies, including the keynote at Anna Baker's 2023 Sounding the Alarm, the Forgotten American Citizen under Havana Syndrome Act of 2021 rally at the conference in Washington, D.C., and the Targeted Justice, Targeted Action rally in Colorado Springs, which I was there. So additionally, Miss Justice authored an ebook titled 10 Signs Which Indicate You Are Targeted to serve as a tool for determining whether someone is being targeted or not. After raising her two children as a single mom, this woman of God is most disappointed by this evil machine's aim to destroy families, pets, relationships, careers, and one's finances. Following her awakening to this torture program during the height of the pandemic, Gaji isolated herself and clung to her faith. She began passionately reading the Bible and spending more time with God. Hence, God's girl, Gaji, emerged. Gaji began to seek other targeted individuals, beginning with the New York base. That was only the beginning. The Jam's reach is now international and favored by many. Believing that we were quickly headed to the next phase in this horrendous experience where TIs will be truly treasured, Gaji encourages TIs to continue preparing, preserving, and praying. And one of God's many chosen vessels on this earth, she states that her lifeline goal is to be more and more like Christ. Meek yet bold, fearless, honest, self-sacrificing, and compassionate, while her short-term goal is to see TIs thrive in 2025. Please welcome Gaji Justice. Thank you for joining us today, Gaji. I'm happy to have you here.
Thank you for having me, Kimberly. You're so wonderful. You're so awesome. I admire you, and I'm happy to be here on this platform.
Thank you. I am so excited to have you here. And I've been on your call a few times, and I really appreciate what you're doing for the TI community and your courage and commitment to bring forth the light on this clandestine operation.
Yeah, thank you. I wish I had known. I didn't know you were there, but a lot of people get on and they don't say anything, but I'm grateful that, they're receiving the information. So it's a beautiful thing. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. So how would you describe what you're experiencing to someone unfamiliar with targeting?
Well, good, great question. Thank you for that, Kimberly. It's a tough question. And although you want to tell them all the gory details, it's probably best not to. So I would start with things that are in the news already. People have heard about Havana syndrome.
Yeah.
They've heard about it in the context of the diplomats. So they know that the diplomats have experienced Havana syndrome and that they're having a hard time getting the proper insurance and treatment. And they look at them like they have mental health issues. But day by day, the diplomats are proving that what they have experienced is real. And it's coming out that it comes from directed energy weapons. So
Yep.
if I were to say I'm being hit by microwave weapons or directed energy weapons, people would not believe it. But if I start with the fact that it's happening to the diplomats and then bring it down to it could possibly be happening to everyday civilians.
Yeah. Yep.
Nobody's, quote unquote, nobody's like me and the rest of the TIs. And I don't mean that we're nobodies. We are special people, and many believe we are chosen. But
Yeah.
I would start with Havana syndrome and the watch list because they know that Tulsi Gabbard was watch listed on the Quiet
Yep.
Skies list. They followed her around for no reason. So to know that she was, that says there is a watch list and that people who do not belong on the watch list are there. Like they are where the watch list is supposed to be for domestic terrorists or international terrorists, but terrorists, period, that
Yeah.
cause a threat. And so I would start there to kind of explain what's going on. I would start with what they know from the news.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. And then get your support group joining other TI communities like
Yes.
Gaji's call. Yeah. Yeah,
Yes,
that's great.
absolutely. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are the most shocking components of this program in your opinion?
I think what shocks me most is the amount of resources that's used on one TI. They use so much money of our taxpayers' money or whatever money they're using. They use it to follow TIs around, to hack their devices, to get into their homes. The amount of people that they involve, believing that this is still going to stay, as you said, clandestine.
Yep.
They believe that this can still remain a covert operation, and you have all these targets and all these organized stalkers following people around, putting things in food at fast food restaurants. You have involved so many people, and yet you believe that it's going to remain silent. What happens in the dark will come to light. It's just a pattern. It's a principle. It's known. Like what goes
Yep.
up must come down. So what shocks me is that at a time like this, when things are being revealed, like 2025 is like the great awakening,
Yeah.
that they have not retreated. They have not retreated. That it's like somebody maniacal is at the helm of this because anyone with their feet on the ground would say, go back, troops, stop, cease fire, you know?
Yeah.
But no,
Yeah.
they're moving forward and they're actually ramping things up. That shocks me.
Yeah, I agree with you. And the program needs to stop. And it's non-government organizations that are doing it as well because they own, basically our government, I feel.
Wow. Okay. Hmm. Yeah, I mean, whoever's involved, whoever is the ringleader, whoever has that authority to say, "Let's cease this. Let's retreat." They need to, and
Hmm.
I honestly believe, Kimberly, that some people are stopping. Like we know people are resigning, retiring, committing suicide, even. So
Yep.
some people have retreated, but yet the ones on the ground, the pawns, their order is to move forward, is to continue. But as in general, as a whole, it needs to stop. I totally agree.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree. They're like pawns in the game. So if they need a scapegoat, they can always go back to the people in the middle and tell them it was their fault when it really is somebody else's,
right.
higher up that we can't see.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah. Okay. So, you're the moderator of your popular podcast, Gaji's After Dinner Jam. So, what inspired you to host the call?
Okay. So, I thank you for that question. What inspired me was when you find out that this is happening to you, you feel lost. You
Yeah.
feel alone. And
Hmm.
when you see that no one is listening to you, you feel despair. I mean, it really got to me. So I started listening to some of the calls. And oftentimes I would hear people just commiserating, like just saying this is happening, that's happening, and this is happening, and they're doing this, and it was so heavy and
Yeah.
emotional and burdensome, and I didn't see any light at the end of the tunnel. So I wanted to have a call that shed light onto what's happening because good things happen every day. I just believe that. And I
Yeah.
believe more good than bad happen every day. And so I wanted to have a forum where we can look at the good and look at how our story is being unfolded around the world. and how it's
Yes.
being told, unfolded, and exposed, and I believe it will lead to destruction. So it became kind of newsy, and we also created a climate of safety and camaraderie. Not that plants, perps, and infiltrators don't join the call. They do. And not that
Right?
they
They
don't.
join every TI call.
Yeah. And the object is the main thing is don't let them take over, you know, because if they take over, there'll be a suppression. They want to suppress you, oppress you, and trigger you. And we want to create a space that's just for real TIs and for real TIs to be empowered and feel comfortable. So they have to now feel uncomfortable in our space. And that's really how it is on the jam. And when they ask questions, sometimes they'll trigger me. If my finger was hurting yesterday, then they'll say, yeah,
Mhm.
so my question, Gaji, is what if your finger hurts? You know? And so, and it's
So
like,
then you know. Yeah.
Exactly. How ridiculous is this? Everybody else
Yeah.
doesn't know because they don't know my finger was hurting because I don't talk about it. But
Exactly.
yeah, but the plant knows and I know, and okay, so what? Like, but that is a part of the psyops. And psyops is a big part of the whole program. I'm hoping at the end
Yep.
of the day, they say that every time we have documented that we were part of a psyops, there's a dollar amount associated to it. And
Yeah, right? There should be.
yeah,
Most
that's why we should,
definitely.
sorry, I'm having a hair moment, but that's why we should really document everything. Oh, we have to document, document, document.
I agree with you 100%. Yeah. Because I say sometimes being a targeted individual is like being a tortured individual. And then you and I turned into targeted survivors because we actually decided to help the community and bring information about the programs that they have out there. And so I think, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm,
What a great point,
yeah,
because that is really saying that if you're targeted and you don't do anything about it, you're tortured. You're a tortured individual. It's when you begin to make steps for your own toward your own freedom that you're a tortured survivor. I love that, Kimberly. That's
yeah,
beautiful. Absolutely.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, you gotta move past the tortured individual to be targeted individual to be a targeted survivor, and I think that we both have done that as well as many other people. There are many other people that are trying to help out the best that they can. At least they're doing something, instead
Right.
of just sitting there idly complaining about what's happening to them.
Right. And
Um,
and
wha
you're highlighting them because through this summit by
yeah,
picking these survivors, the people that you're highlighting are people who have stepped up for in one field or another for one reason or another, but they've stepped up and met the charge to do something about it. And it's not hard. It's not easy. It's difficult. It is
yeah.
hard, but we're doing it.
Okay, so we were talking about being a targeted survivor versus a targeted individual before our call was interrupted. So, can you expand on that a little bit for our viewers?
Sure, sure, sure. So I was saying that if you don't step up to make stand for your own freedom, then you remain a targeted or tortured individual. You only become a survivor when you start making steps to your own freedom. And I remember that, I used to hear this saying all the time and I hated it actually. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, because it was like, why should we go through something like that or something so horrible to make us stronger? But this program here, it gets to the core of you, the essence of
Yep.
who you are. You have to ask yourself and realize either it is going to kill me, either it is going to kill all my dreams, all my hope, all my joy, my relationship with God, my relationship with people, everything about me, or I'm going to survive. And it's those steps, it's that moment in time when you decide to survive that you become a survivor, a tortured survivor or a targeted survivor, as opposed to an individual. And Kimberly has made that step. Many people that you've seen or heard from on the summit have made that step. Many of my guests have made that step. There are so many people who've made that step. And what's important to know is, because you decide to be passive or a good little girl or a good little
Yep.
boy, they
Yep.
will not have mercy. Okay. It's
That's
not
correct.
that kind of ball game. It's just not. Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's too cruel. And many people still believe that. They just believe if I'm good. And sometimes the voices, if you have V2K, tell them people that stay out of trouble, stay low, do this, and it'll be easy for you. And some TIs that have crossed over, I believe they've told that. Oh, we'll make it light on you, just do this, just do that. No, no.
Yeah.
That's like
Don't
making a deal
listen.
with the devil. It's like
Yes.
he will stab you in the back because that's his nature. It's the story of the snake,
Yep.
which
Yep.
is one of my it's one of my favorite, has become one of my favorite stories. The story of the snake. You put that snake in your bosom, he's still a snake.
Yep. Yep. I agree with you 100%.
Hmm.
What is the most valuable information um, from your book, do you think?
Okay. So I think in general, first of all, the 10 signs are invaluable because
Yeah.
these things happen to people. But when it happens so excessively, you have to note them. So in the book, I kind of describe the signs that may seem normal, but there's a little twist to it that lets you know it's more than just a bad day. It's more
Right.
than just a bad month. It's more than just my friends did this for the moment, but they're going to be fine next time I see them. It's more than
Yep.
that. It's an orchestrated, intentional, cruel program against you. And
Yes.
it's so hard for people to believe because when you really start believing that, first thing you say, well, maybe I am what? Paranoid. And the powers that be will tell you or will ask you, do you have mental health issues? Or, you sound a little paranoid, or this sounds, maybe you're having problems with reality, it's a little schizophrenic or whatever, you're a psychopath, whatever they tell you. But
Yep.
those things are really, that's what the program is built on you feeling that way and coming to that conclusion. And others around you will gaslight you. We have our own vocabulary. TIs
Yep.
have our own vocabulary.
Absolutely. Yep.
But they will gaslight you into believing that it's you and not
Correct.
everything else. Because
Yep.
who would really, really believe that something like this would exist? And we have to know that it's not just like I'm listening to the P. Diddy trial. P. Diddy did all of these things by himself. Wow, he was something else. He did all of this to all these people by
Right.
himself, you know?
Right.
So you have to add, and it's the same thing with this program. All of this is happening just because of, and many people believe, I know who it is. It's my neighbor, or it's this guy I broke up with, or this cop that so and so, or it's a whole program, guys. It's a
Yep.
whole system. It's a whole
Correct.
orchestrated operation against you. It's not
Yeah.
one person. I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't even know I was going
Absolutely.
to
They
say
might
that.
as well call it Operation Takedown.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And it takes all of that to take, like, how they say, how many people does it take to unscrew a light bulb? Like, how many people does it take to take down Kimberly? How many people does it take to take down Gaji? It's like all these people on one person. The resources, the amount of people is just absurd. And
It
and
is.
they just go in, like the kids would say, they just do the most.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's
Mm-hmm.
just, it's hard for people to wrap their head around because their main question is why, I think a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And the why is they don't need a reason why. They're treating you as a social experiment and they have no feelings. They're a bunch of psychopaths. And so the question why is always going to remain there in people's heads that don't think in that sociopathic, psychotic way.
What a great point. That's such a great point. Because we don't think like that, it makes no sense. And that's really why I wrote the book. Because
Hmm.
you wouldn't believe that this is happening, and you wouldn't believe that one plus one is two until you really see it. And by reading it, that this sign. And yes, this happened to me. Yes, I was audited at work out of the blue. Yes, this happened. Yes, I had a flat tire and I waited there for 4 hours this day. And then it happened again. And then so you
Yep.
start seeing a trend and patterns. And when you put it all together, you realize something really is happening beyond what you would believe. Yeah.
Yeah. You can only have a stroke of bad luck for so long, people. Like, come on.
Life
Right?
does get better. Good things do happen, and there are good people. So if you're surrounded by just bad luck and bad people, something is going on. Yeah.
Yep. So, do you have any exciting upcoming events going on for people who are interested?
Yeah, actually, I do. This is the first time I'm getting ready to offer some workshops. So I have some guests many great guests. And so we're going to have some like hands-on. This comes from my teacher, the teacher part of me. In the classroom, it's so important
Yeah.
for kids to learn with their hands on things. Just they learn so much better when they do. And so we're going to have some hands-on things. We're going to make some zappers, some things that reduce the do, and we're going to
Yeah.
zap together so that it can be in a safe environment. And we just have some great, I'm going to do my first freedom fundraiser and workshops, and we're going to do some things that will be really helpful, including some legal things like write affidavits together and
Perfect.
FOIAs. So we're going to do some things because I believe that we're almost free. And so we need to do some things that get us ready for the next phase, which is recovery. And we have a lot of recovering to do. A lot of
Yeah,
recovery.
absolutely. Because this
Yeah.
program causes post-traumatic stress.
Yes, it does.
It's very
Absolutely.
much, yeah, a trauma-based mind control program, which was what MK Ultra is.
Wow. It's awful. And everybody, yes, we all have PSTD now. We all have that now, PTSD, post
Yep.
traumatic stress disorder. And
Yep.
we are all going through. So we have to recover ourselves. Then we have to look at the relationships that they've destroyed and see which ones we can recover and which ones we choose to and which ones we choose not to. And we have
Absolutely.
money to be compensated for. There's the loss, the attack on our finances is ridiculous. And
Yep.
people are homeless. People are living in their cars. People are walking
Yep.
around. Once they realize they're messing with the food in my refrigerator, they're taking the food and carrying it in a backpack. I mean, the way that we've had to live for as long as we've known is really, it's the worst. And that's why I
Yeah.
call us, we're imprisoned in a free world. This world is free, but we are imprisoned in so many ways. And it's because, it should not be happening. So
No.
we have to reclaim our freedom. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that was beautifully said. Yeah, thank you
Yeah.
for
Mhm.
sharing. So, where can people find your book?
Okay. So my book is on Amazon and it's also on Etsy. So please do get the book for yourself because it will help you to figure out if you are a TI, it will help you to figure out when it started because you may feel like it started at this moment and then you look back at some of the signs and say, no, it started before that.
Yeah,
And
you
if you
start
want to
piecing
tell
it together. Yeah.
Yes, you
Yeah.
start piecing it together and you can share
Yeah.
with other people that do not know about the targeting experience so they can figure out what you're going through and what they could be going through.
Yep, absolutely. I think that is great advice. And so, is there a preview of your book on Amazon for people to go read, or do you want to give like one free PDF version to someone who emails you or something like that?
Absolutely. Okay. Whoever emails me first from this summit, I'll
Yeah,
give a free ebook to.
perfect.
All right.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. I love it. I love it.
Mhm.
Wow, Goji, that was absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for being part of the Radical Truth Summit.
Thank
I
you for
appreciate
having
what
me.
you're doing for the community and sharing your knowledge with others.
Thank you so
So,
much. Thank you for having me, and thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for standing up, being a survivor, and being so courageous, Kimberly. Thank you.
yeah, absolutely. Stay strong, everyone. We've got this.